The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM. Ya hala, ya hala, ya hala, ya hala, ya hala.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to Sister Speak, where we talk about different topics that we, want to talk about. But yeah, today's main topic is going to be on political engagement, so education frustrations and the involvement of, young people in that. But I guess first things first, Sadia, what's our show about?
Hi guys, it's been a long time. It's been approximately... No, really not. It's been months.
It's been months.
I think I might have been here about 3 times in the last year, which sucks because I love doing this. Our show is essentially a platform for Muslim women, young girls, young Muslim women, to talk about anything we really want to talk about. It's essentially a talk show. We can talk about issues such as politics, religion, culture, pop culture, social media, Islamophobia, etc., etc. Essentially, it's for us to have our voice to talk about whatever we want, because if we don't, who will?
Exactly. And just to emphasise that all views and opinions are our own, and we respect all other similar or opposing views. So before we dive into the hot topics and the main topic, we have a little segment on our show called Thoughts for the Week. So this is where we sort of share things that we think may be useful to you guys, that we've maybe learnt over the past week. So Sadia, would you like to go first?
You want me to start? Okay. So like I said, this is my first show in a long time, and I'm doing this for ages. But so I have a lot of thoughts to catch you guys up on. And since the last show, I don't know, when was it? Was it before I graduated or after?
Oh, I have no idea, because I've only been
before.
I came back for the summer because I had a sort of almost a year-long hiatus as well.
Yeah, I think it must have been before I graduated, because I had graduation and then I went straight into my internship and I just didn't come back. Yeah. So, since the last show, I've graduated, I've done a summer internship, and now...
Busy.
Yeah, I'm a graduate, an unemployed graduate, going into the real world for the first time ever, and it's really scary. My thought of the week around that is that you can't, I guess you can prepare yourself for it. I wish I was a lot more prepared, and it's a really scary time, but I've realised everyone's kind of going through that same thing, and I'm the kind of person who freaks out when they have a week where they're doing nothing and they don't know what the next step is, and this is essentially the first time in my life where I don't know the exact next step. I have a somewhat plan, but it's not in concrete,
it's
when
not definite. These are the things that can happen.
For example, with you, where are you at right now?
University.
You're at university. Yeah, so you just graduated you just finished sixth form, didn't you, last year?
Yeah, 2 years ago now.
Whoa, it's been a while. When we recruited you were just finishing sixth form, weren't you?
I was finishing my first year of sixth form, so it's been 2 years.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it has. I just realised that today as well, because I was thinking, it's been a year, but it hasn't. It's been 2. It's crazy.
Yeah, so now you're doing uni, you know what you're doing in a year's time, in the next year, and then hopefully, inshallah, you do medicine straight after that. With my degree, it's a matter of you do a broad degree and then you do whatever you want after that, and it's too open for it.
It's quite scary.
It's free, but it's scary.
Yeah. And
right now it's just a very confusing time, but kind of exciting at the same time, because anything is possible. So my thought of the week is self-improvement in all aspects, because I just started reading again, and I really need to continue to do that and just improve myself. And
I feel like with reading, when you've been out of it for a long time, coming back in is quite difficult though.
It is, but I'm reading a really good book called The Alchemist. Have you ever heard of it?
I have heard of it, but I've not read it, and I don't know what it's about.
Yeah, it's like a motivational book, but in fiction.
Oh, okay.
I'm enjoying it.
See, I bought a novel recently, and I thought I'd really enjoy it, because the last book that I bought from that same author was really, really good.
Who is that?
His name has escaped my mind, but the name of the book is Rogue Lawyer. It's all like legal fiction.
Okay.
But it's very good. But this one, I just haven't been able to get into it. I feel like with a book, it's like movies as well, or anything. If in the first few, with movies, it's like if in the first few minutes you're not captivated, then you're probably not going to enjoy the movie.
Yeah, I agree.
I've read about three or four chapters. They're quite short chapters, but I don't know. I've not been able to properly get into this one, and it's just a bit sad. I don't know whether it's reading in general or whether it's just this book. I'm not sure, but yeah.
I don't think it's ever good to super force a book unless it's for academic reasons. It just makes you stop loving reading.
Very true.
So yeah, that's my thought of the week.
Very, important thought of the week, I guess.
I don't even know what the exact thought was. It was just a bunch of
sharing experiences. But yeah, I guess my thought of the week, recently I've been sort of helping out at a local care home. And I've sort of been talking to the residents there, and it's been really lovely. But I guess the thing is, it makes you sort of realise that these people, they're in a care home and they're all very lovely and everything, but it's like you see them and you think they had, a very independent life at some point. Like they're people, It's not that I didn't see them as people before, but more so it's very easy to see the elderly as just like a group or numbers or things like that. Very easy, through studies and stuff like that. We have an aging population, all of this stuff. When you go into the care home and you talk to them and you listen to their stories, you realise, I guess, I don't know, the importance of their life and how amazing a life maybe a lot of them had. And I guess it just goes to show that, we're going to be at that stage. I'm not necessarily really saying you're going to be in a care home, but you're going to be elderly at some point. And I feel like, I guess...
that's scary.
Like, we're not going to stay young forever. So I guess the thing I want to say is, just sort of use your life in the way that you think is best and really use your time.
Your whole thought, it's applicable for loads of other groups as well, because I was also thinking about that when I was involved with, like, work with refugees and stuff, because, like, from a distance, that they go through all these things. But then when you actually speak to them in real life, it's like, oh, my God,
it actually becomes reality.
A person has been treated like this, they've gone through this, and people are speaking about them like this.
And
it's
for
shocking.
One person, how shocking it is. And can you imagine there are thousands upon thousands of people, millions. Thousands is putting it. But yeah, like you just don't realise, because the way these types of things are put across, especially in media, I think, is just constantly numbers, groups of people, this type of thing.
Yeah,
and
we really distance ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't get to realise that these are real people with real stories, and that is really their life. Because we're so lucky that the life that we have, like I think I talked about it on an earlier show maybe, the fact that it's all like a bit of a lottery, where you're born, everything. It's not like you get to choose.
That's why I feel like fiction is really important. Like I was reading the book in the kitchen, and my dad was like, "Why are you reading a storybook? Or why don't you read something more educational?"
Yeah.
But I feel like with fiction, you get in the minds of people
you really understand,
who are not in your shoes, and you start to understand a completely different point of view, a completely different world to yours, and you just completely absorb your mind. You're not yourself anymore, you're them.
Yeah.
And I just think that's a really important thing to do, especially when you're younger.
Yeah, and the picture's sort of brought up in your own mind. I feel like with things like different forms of digital media, like movies and things like that, it's definitely what the director has sort of put across to you. Whereas when you're reading a book, it's how you interpret the words yourself. In a way, it's a bit more of a personal connection, I feel.
Yeah, definitely.
You really sort of seem to understand.
That's why I need to start reading again.
But yeah, I guess that brings us to the end of our thoughts for the week. So I hope you guys, could take something on board from that. I know I probably definitely did. But yeah, we're going to move on to our hot topics now. So Sadia, would you like to let people know what they are?
Okay, so our hot topic this week is a bit of a funny one. So have you heard of Area 51 in the
Yes, I have.
What have you heard about it?
Well, I've heard people have been trying to break into it recently,
But have you heard anything about it before?
Well, I don't know, what I've heard about it before is where they kept the aliens, but that's all I know, really, yeah.
Yeah, I remember growing up hearing about Area 51, the scary place where nobody really knows what's going on, and loads of conspiracy theories, and maybe there's aliens there, maybe there's
government secrets
testing, loads of things. And I feel like shows like Stranger Things have gone in, contributed to make these conspiracy
theories. Making
this
sort of image.
And I love a good conspiracy theory. So the other, I don't know when exactly this started, but how it started I got the date. No, I don't. So I think maybe a few months ago, someone started a Facebook group after I think it was a YouTuber was talking about Area 51 in general or something. Not 100% sure of that. And the Facebook group was Storm Area 51. They can't stuff all of us.
Okay.
Right? Did you ever see that?
No, I don't really use Facebook, but
Yeah, because on Facebook people make funny groups events
Okay,
all the time, like
random ones.
Yeah, events for Brexit or things that would never actually happen. But this one actually happened.
So they actually...
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't going to happen.
It did. Even I said, I'll go to the event. I checked myself into it. I think that there was like thousands and thousands of people who checked themselves into the event. But in reality, people did go. 500 people went.
Still quite a lot of people.
And people were really scared the night before and a few days in advance because...
Wow. I can imagine.
Security, yeah.
You're not really sure what's there either,
Exactly. I think a lot of people thought people would die there, which I wouldn't have been surprised at, but at the same time I would have been surprised because it's such a publicised event.
Yeah.
But in reality, I knew a few people were arrested. I don't think they really reached anything. I didn't find anything, but it was just a really funny topic. Like, how do you
it's just very, very strange. Just like,
yeah, I think it's just so millennial culture, because I was reading an article about how one person went and what they saw was loads and loads of people, hipsters, UFO fanatics, people holding their selfie cameras, recording themselves.
Great chance for a YouTube video.
It really is.
But it's crazy, you can just put something online and people kind of turn up if they're behind your balls.
I love it.
It's just, that's how it works these days. It's like, it's weird. You wouldn't hear about that, I don't know.
Yeah, what do you think about it? Is it crazy, or is it
just normal?
Crazy, or just what is going on?
It's strange,
with the world
though.
Crazy.
Like, if you were actually in America, would you attend?
No, I'd be scared, but I'd watch it.
You'd watch it. Happily watch it.
Just in case it's because I think some people were comparing it to like Fyre Festival. Have you heard of Fyre Festival?
No, I haven't.
You haven't heard of Fyre Festival? It was that event, that festival where loads of people, like thousands and thousands of teenagers paid a lot of money to go to, because it was advertised as all these supermodels and Instagram influencers, and when they got there it was not what they imagined.
Who did they pay the money to?
Yeah, they paid the money to the people who tried to make the event happen, but I think he's in jail now for fraud. And
oh my god,
you should watch it.
That's a big thing.
I'm surprised you haven't heard of it.
No, that's crazy though. Like, but that's the thing, you see something, you're not really sure if it's really there or not. That's kind of internet culture.
But I don't think anyone was expecting glamour at
this one. Could you imagine Instagram models and whatnot?
That would be a good photo op.
It would. Gates. It would, to be fair. Gosh. Yeah.
Anything else you want to say on it?
I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say on it? I just think it's just very strange.
I just love it. I love the idea. I wish we would do that to everything.
But
I wish other people would do it to everything, and I could watch.
You could watch
from my home in England.
Entertainment.
Exactly.
It's good entertainment. To be fair. They could have shot a reality TV show or something about that.
They probably will. There probably is something. I'm telling you, there's probably a Netflix documentary coming out soon.
For sure. But yeah, I guess that sums up our hot topics for the week. Also, just like to say, if anyone wants to get involved with any of the discussions that we will have today, don't hesitate. Do contact us. Where can they contact us, Sadia?
You can probably best to contact us through Facebook Live, or call us or text us on 01582 481822, or text us in 07779 481822.
Exactly. Also, pop us a follow on Instagram, because we have an Instagram account at Sister Speak, and we do podcasts as well, so you can download them on iTunes. Go ahead and do that. But yeah, I guess we'll move on to our main topic for the show today, which is political engagement. So yeah.
You want me to leave that?
Sadia, should I ask you the first question?
Oh, it's fine.
Well, yeah.
Because I think I'm supposed to be asking you this, because the question is, do you understand the current political climate? And I think if I ask that, it's a bit dumb. I literally have the degree in it. I would hope I would.
I'm a bit flustered for this show, because for those who don't know,
honestly, I'm kind of glad you haven't done your research on it.
Okay.
On like the politics behind these things, because it's giving a more raw experience.
Yeah, no. Basically, I managed to just come in the nick of time before the show started, so I am a bit flustered. So if I get my words muddled and things like that, I hope you guys do understand. But yeah, Sadia, take it away.
Yeah. So my question to you, Lamaisa, and also all the listeners out there, if you're a young person or not, do you currently understand what is going on in the UK? If you were asked to explain the situation of politics in the UK, do you think you could answer briefly?
I think I could give a basic, very, very basic sort of overview, maybe more so just a list of events that have happened.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say I understand the details.
Yeah.
Or not necessarily understand, but rather know. I haven't taken the time to find them out.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say.
And I would say you're quite politically engaged, to be honest.
I think I'm probably more politically engaged than most people usually are.
Yeah. Yeah, you wanted to do journalism before, didn't you?
Yes, I did. So
okay, so this is a bad example of a person.
But actually right now, because over the summer I've been doing a few different things, so I didn't really get the chance to be as updated as I would usually like. So I guess now you caught me in a phase of political disengagement.
Yeah.
Maybe. But yeah.
Honestly, I didn't do too much research into it either today. Just because, well, one, I was lazy, but two, it's probably not the best idea to overload the research when it's more of, you need to have a realistic experience.
Today's quite a big day though.
With what?
The news.
Oh yeah, it is.
So.
I don't know, are we allowed to talk about that?
I mean,
probably.
It's a factual event that happened.
So basically the Supreme Court ruled it unlawful, the propagation of Parliament, it was unlawful. I'm not sure if that means... No, it will continue. Parliament will continue. Government will not be able to propagate Parliament now. And after that, we don't really know what's happening still.
That happened
Brexit's
today.
still confusing.
But that was the first time in the past few months, I think, that I sort of tuned back into what's going on. Because I turned on the telly, went out of Netflix and saw over all the news channels, it was like posted everywhere, the headlines and, you know, the Supreme Court's president's, like her speech and everything.
Yeah.
I was watching all of that. So it was, you know, I think it's fun, I guess, when you listen
Politics
to it.
is fun.
Yeah, when you listen to what's going on as an outsider.
Yeah.
When you don't really know the intricacies, it's just like, you know, you watch it and you think, this is actually going on.
Yeah.
These are the people who are actually running the country, that type of thing.
Honestly, no, as someone with a degree, it's confusing. I don't get it.
And that's a person with a degree.
I don't know.
politics.
Yeah, no, 3 years did not prepare me for this at all. Like, this is a very, very confusing time.
So what chance do normal people?
No, there isn't any. Nobody's understanding what's happening right now. I worked with the government around civil services. Everyone's very confused. Everything's very up in the air right now. So I think it's, I don't think anyone should feel bad about not understanding what's happening. Because honestly, I've been sick of this whole propagation thing. Like, because I'm on Twitter, I see a lot of the news like instantly, and it's like, oh, this court ruled something lawful, this court ruled something unlawful. It's just been a lot.
It's a lot of information just being thrown.
Yeah, and also with Brexit, I remember the referendum was at the start of my degree, and now I've finished it. So it's been going on for a really long time.
It's been a long process.
It's been a really long process. But yeah, so the reason why I wanted to talk about the topic of political engagement was because, essentially, I think the first topic that I kind of wanted to talk about was education itself. But I think I just ended up delving into how we're not really prepared for political engagement through our education system.
Yeah, very true.
So I'm going to ask you about a bunch of political situations, and I'm going to ask whether you know about them or not.
Okay.
But you are a journalism fanatic, so this is not...
I don't know. I wouldn't say fanatic, but yeah, go ahead. We'll see.
Okay, do you know about the situation in Sudan?
Yes.
Yes. Do you know... Okay, Israel-Palestine conflict?
Yes.
Brexit?
Yeah.
The wall, the Trump wall.
Well, yeah, who doesn't know about the Trump wall?
Do you know about the Democrats, what do you even call it? The voting of the new Democrats leader?
I didn't know that.
No?
No.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, I did. I heard a podcast about it, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Latin America, do you know what's going on in there right now in terms of the climate?
Yes.
Scary.
Yeah, very scary. And the Amazon and everything is very scary as well.
Very scary. Do you know about race relations in South Africa?
Yes.
Basically, Lamaisa knows a lot of these things.
But not, jack of all trades but master of none, in a sense, know of them but don't know the details.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, my point here is that there's a lot going on in the world right now over the last 100 years. And I think we are expected to know every single bit of it, but it's very hard broadly.
Do you think we're expected to know?
I think so. We live in a globalized world right now.
Yeah.
Maybe it's from my circle I studied history and politics, so I'm kind of expected to know most of it. So the people around me are more likely to know a lot of it. But I feel like conversational people kind of ask you about these things.
Do they? I don't know.
You tell me
circle,
from your science circle.
Because, I'm not in the politics circle. I would love to be, but I'm not. But in the circle that I'm in, I don't think conversationally it really sort of pops up. You know, when you start talking about, when I try to engage conversation with my peers about politics and things that are going on, they're like, we don't really want to know, that type of thing, and sort of swish out that conversation. So I feel like in terms of saying that people are expected to know, I don't think they are.
Maybe I just expect everyone to know.
I feel like people in your field are expected, and people should be expected to know. I do feel that. However, loads of people, I feel like the society doesn't have that expectation on people, because the way people are, I feel like in today's day and age, it's a lot more about us and the problems we face and knowing about those, rather than you over there and the problems you face and know about those. I need to solve my own problems first.
Do you think we should be expected to know about all of these things?
I feel like because the world is such a large place, not everyone can be expected to know everything. Yeah. But I feel like being well read in that sense about what is going on in the world, and knowing just in general, because we're all people. Yeah. And it's good to know for other people in that sense.
I agree. Important. But there is like the points of views where people say watching the news is essentially bad for you because it's going to affect your mental health, and it's going to make you think that the world is a lot worse than it actually is, and stress you out, because technically we're living in the most peaceful time for a long time.
Maybe. Well, in the sense that there hasn't been any sort of major wars. Yeah. But realistically, I feel like that's my own personal opinion. I feel like that's just because action isn't being taken.
What do you think of that view then?
I think, it's peaceful, but that just because it's peaceful doesn't mean that it's peaceful in the sense that there aren't bad things going on.
I think it's a very privileged way of thinking of things.
And I think there are situations going on which need to be accounted for, and we need to help the innocent people that are being involved, but no action is being taken. So in that sense, yes, it's peaceful, but is that necessarily...
it's just you in your room, in your house, on your computer thinking this. I guess, no, I get the mental health aspect of it, but at the same time, I think if everyone started thinking of it, it's a very privileged and selfish way of thinking of the world, because our actions do impact those who are suffering. And you become
very complacent about the suffering that's going on in the world.
Yep, silence is a political statement, I believe.
Yeah.
But is that, do you know any opposing views to that? Because we're saying that, but we're quite political.
I feel like the only opposing view would be that, it's not on my shoulders to bear their issues.
Yeah, I guess you can't expect it's the establishment who should deal with this.
Should deal with it, exactly. You can't expect every single, like you and me, the normal, your everyday average Joe Blogs, to take that onto their shoulders and then in turn be suffering because other people around the world are suffering. Yeah. But I think that's a very extreme way of looking at it, in the sense that I feel like I should feel their suffering and I should try and help, but I shouldn't do it to the point where I myself become or start suffering because of it.
I'm going to throw in a pretty good case study in terms of this whole discussion we're having here. So climate change. Okay. It's affecting all of us, some more than others. For example, Bangladesh, like Latin America right now. And it is a situation where a lot of regular people feel like they have to change their lifestyles to help the environment, whereas some other people are saying, why should I turn vegan? Why should I do all of these things when technically it's the top 10% of who are mainly doing these things to the earth, which is true.
And benefiting from it.
So that does show, like, do you think about the collective, how much we can do individually or together, do you say, why should I deteriorate my quality of life because these companies refuse to make massive changes?
I feel like the point of the matter is that, yes, that's a very good point, the fact that these companies aren't changing, so why should we? But the thing is that I feel, change from these companies would start if we have a change in attitude from society in general. Because if we change our attitude with society, those companies may feel more pressured to change the way that they are. And even though it may not affect us now with climate change, it's quite a immediate problem in the sense that it may not affect us now, but in quite a few years to come, it definitely will. That's just science. That's just how
it's actually affecting us right now.
And it's affecting us right now. So, these types of discussions need to be had because, people our age who aren't in these fields may not necessarily feel the necessity, I guess, to really sort of get engaged and sort of clue up about it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's the first half done.
So join us after the break where we'll continue discussing that topic. So yeah, see you in a bit. Assalamu alaikum.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome back to Sister Speak. So before the show we started a pretty good discussion, I think, on political engagement. I feel like it went quite deep quite quickly.
It did. Yeah, no, okay, what did we just speak about? So I was giving the example of climate change and how there's different views on who should be actually involved in improving that. Should it be regular people who just want to get along with their day and use their plastic now and then, or should it be the big corporations? Or I have a point of view I'll put across after you.
After me? I feel like what I was saying before the show is that, big corporations aren't going to change just like that. I feel like they're quite set in their ways in the sense that as long as this is my opinion, as long as they're making money, they're pretty good. And I feel like change comes from the general people. Once we slowly change our attitude in years to come, big corporations will have to follow that because the regular people are their marketplace. So I think through that way, as long as we start to change attitude, then it becomes easier for corporations, the higher ups, those types of things to accommodate for the needs that we want to push through.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Big corporations, well, they need to do it ASAP. We need to push them too, but I also think we need to, like you said, through our actions, change the marketplace. And there is literally 9 billion of us. Is it 9 billion of us now? 7 billion last time I checked. Why did I say 9 billion?
7 billion.
I don't know why I said 9 billion. There's about 7 billion and growing.
Yeah.
And we make a crazy impact on this earth, obviously. And we need to realize that these big corporations are headed by people.
Yes. At the end of the day.
Yeah, it's not just a robot. It's headed by people. And we do need to make these little changes in our lives because they do add up. Imagine, so say we live until we're 85. How many plastic bottles have we... What happened to my voice? How many plastic bottles have we thrown away? How many animals have we eaten? How much have we contributed to this situation?
I feel like a lot. Change. If I think about just myself, plastic water bottles I literally live off. Yeah. It's really bad.
It's really bad.
We started to recycle a majority of them, but before, like if I think to 2 or 3 years ago, we used to buy the massive cases of just water, drink it, chuck it in the bin. That's it. And nothing used to be done.
I think we were going to do a whole episode on climate change next week, weren't we, with Zanera?
Yeah, I think it's coming.
It's coming.
Honestly.
Because I don't have enough information on this.
I need to research
I just think it's a collective impact, us making our personal changes through not taking the world for granted.
Yeah.
But also pushing for these corporations to make their changes as well, because obviously they're mainly these companies.
They're big contributors.
They're massive contributors. So the next topic, no, it's not the next topic, it's the next question. Sorry, I skipped from that.
It's all right, don't worry.
So do you believe when were you in high school? How many years ago was this?
I'm acting like it's 5 years ago. No, I think it in high school. Oh, high school would probably be 5 years ago, I think.
Are you sure?
No, I did my
graduated
GCSEs in 2016. That's when I did my GCSEs.
So 3 years ago.
3 years ago. I can't do
So
math.
you finished high school 3 years ago.
I promise I got a good grade in maths. But yeah, I finished 3 years ago, yeah.
So all the things that we were talking about today, do you believe that the education system prepared you to understand any of that, all of that, parts of that?
Well, I feel like if you're talking about preparation in terms of having lessons, then no. Obviously, we didn't have lessons on any of that. But what my school did do is we used to have tutorials, and in those tutorials, it would depend from teacher to teacher. They didn't have any set sort of topic to talk about. But my teacher, my form tutor that I had, she often would bring up things that are going on, current affairs, that type of thing. And we as a form would sort of discuss it and talk about it. So I think that's good in the sense that it keeps students engaged while they're in school. Because even if a majority of them didn't look at the news, that type of thing, at least in that situation, they would be a bit informed. And maybe they, want to look up or research it afterwards. I don't know how it is in other schools. But yeah, I feel like those types of initiatives from those teachers is really good to prepare kids to take an interest. Because I think that's where it starts from. Yeah. Instead of just, like, how are they going to be interested in it? Do you get what I mean? Like, if when you're a teenager, when you're in high school is your life.
Yeah, you don't want to read the news. It's nerdy. Remember?
It's nerdy, but it might be boring for some. They don't really want to know.
It actually is boring, and this is coming from someone who
does politics
and history.
And history, yeah. So they might find it boring. That might not be their interest. But I think the point of the matter is that people need to realize it's not that they have to have an interest in it, but they should just know about it.
I don't know if it's your school in particular, or the fact that you are 3 years younger than me. Do you think things improved, or is it just your school?
Maybe it is, because
I don't know. We need some other young people here.
Maybe, yeah.
We need some other examples. But with my situation, I don't actually remember any current event discussions, especially not on stuff like war and situations that's going on right now. The closest would literally be humanities, but then it would be stuff that happened in the past, history lessons, which I think is history. Okay, I'm a big advocate of, obviously, and I think it's okay. I know I'm saying this from a very biased standpoint, but I do think it's one of the most important subjects that we teach in schools. And I know a lot of people would think, why do you study history? It's in the past. But I do think that kind of thing prepares you to understand the country you're living in, why it's like that.
But also the world we're living in.
Yeah, exactly. Why people are like that. Other countries, if you have the benefit of actually learning about other countries in your history lessons, a lot of people aren't that privileged. Sometimes it's very Eurocentric history lessons, but that's a rant for another time. Maybe in 5 minutes. And it just makes you understand people.
Yeah, but I feel like loads of people, the history that they know or have knowledge of is from those history lessons in school. Yeah. Even if they didn't take it up till GCSE, even if they just took it up till GCSE.
Or year 9.
Or year 9. That's all the history knowledge that I have about, let's say World War I and World War II comes from the lessons that I've had in school. I didn't do that research myself in that sense. But I just want to say one thing is that I remember even in junior school, my junior school used to put on little news round clips.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, we were only 10 or 11. Yeah. We wouldn't really understand the big things that were going on at that time. But we've heard about it. Yeah. And so when we hear the adults talking about it, you kind of feel like, oh yeah, I know about that. I'm going to listen a bit more, that type of thing. Yeah. So I feel like it's important that we introduce current affairs and things that are actually going on, that type of thing to kids in the education system.
Yeah, no, I just realised that I basically said that history lessons prepare you for the world. They don't. Not in the UK. No, I've just realised what I said. I take that back. I don't think they do enough to prepare you for the world because, like you said, you learn a lot about World War I, World War II. Great. You learned about European relations. But really, when you think about it, that is not the situation now with European relations. Germany is pretty great in relations these days.
But isn't that the point of history, to know about the past, not...
No, I'm saying that a lot what we do learn is mainly World War I and World War II. I think we need to learn more about
the world.
How we communicated with Asia and Africa and the Americas, or just their histories in general. Not even how we communicated with them, just like them, because we live in a multicultural society. I think it's important to just understand people's backgrounds.
Diverse, different periods of time, not just in the UK though, different periods of time all around the world.
Yeah, and I think it's important for like BME children to understand their own past.
The historical events that happened, of course, they have an impact on the events that are happening now. The way people think, it's because of events of the past that certain people think the way they do.
Exactly.
In today's day and age, I feel like.
And also what we learn about the past today is how people view other events. So, for example, I remember sixth form history, A-level history, we learned about the scramble for Africa. Now, they only taught from European colonization onwards.
Okay.
There is not in my A-levels or my degree, there's no mention of African history before colonization. And I think when you teach that to young people, that really impacts how they view people in Africa, because they see it as, I don't know how they would word it, but it's essentially European contact. It's a lot of emphasis on poverty and
a lot of people think of slavery as well, the whole slave trade and everything. But actually, when you said that, I didn't even think of
What
Africa
about the rich civilizations that existed beforehand?
That had never popped in my head until the second you said it, which is crazy as a person who's been through the education system and still in it.
Yeah, like, have you ever thought maybe I'd like to learn about what happened before Europeans came to this continent that is technically where humans came from? Why don't we
human civilization started?
So it's the beginning of human civilization. Why don't we know anything beyond the last few hundreds of years from that region? That's crazy. Yeah, and that I think that impacts a lot of people within the UK, and it contributes to racism and xenophobia and ignorance.
Much so.
Do you have anything else you'd like to say? Like, how do you think the education could improve on this?
I think that's a difficult one. Well, actually, no, it's easy and it's difficult. It's difficult because obviously I don't see... Well, in history, of course, you could broaden the historical periods that people actually study. But I feel like it's simple in the sense that if you allocated even a small amount of time, you don't even need a whole lesson. Like we had it in tutorial, which was basically just a block of 20 minutes, I think, where we just talk about different things. So whether it be current affairs or whether it be political things that are going on, their history, how that type of thing came about, it sort of just gets the kids talking and discussing it. And I feel like that's where you could start instead of introducing a whole new lesson or something that's important. You know how PSHE is compulsory, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think it is. If you introduce something where kids actually need to engage, then that would help, because what you get is the school system is just where kids sort of first interact with society. I feel like a wider society. It's almost like a little baby version of the adult world and real life and how everything's going to be. That's where everything starts. So if you make a very sort of even slightly politically engaged sort of student body, that type of thing, once they've grown up and they've become adults, those adults just have it inclined in them to know more about what's going on in the world, how it affects them, or how they can help affect other people, that type of thing. Yeah, I feel like that's where the change should start.
See, I have a more radical viewpoint in that, and I just think we need to completely decolonize the curriculum completely. So I would say even like English literature
in general,
change it up, talk about literature from other countries as well. History, obviously, that's the obvious one. Actually introduce politics lessons as a part of humanities. What other subjects are there? I think it's really important to talk about the other cultures.
Do you think it's possible to do that at the moment when we already have loads of subjects going on?
No, like, I think you implement it within the subjects. Why did I need to learn about the Battle of Hastings? What does that impact me?
True.
Technically, why isn't it more beneficial for people to understand British India than the Battle of Hastings? You probably did a whole semester on that.
Definitely did.
On the Romans and the Aztecs. I think more modern history, but global history
would be more beneficial to those. I agree. I think that too. But I feel like where I got a lot of my sort of trying to learn about other cultures, things like that, was actually through religious studies.
Really?
Because in our school, we didn't just learn about Christianity or one religion. We learned about quite a few. We did all of the main 6 religions, I think.
Yeah.
And we looked at, I think what was really even more interesting is their history around the world, how it is that they sort of went to certain different parts and the type of people that they affected. And nowadays, I feel like religion is very intertwined with a lot of the things that are going on.
Did you go to school in Luton?
No, I didn't.
Close to Luton?
Bedford, yeah.
But yeah, and because it's interesting that you're saying that, because I have a friend who lives in quite a village area, not diverse at all, and she was saying how her religious studies was essentially Christianity.
I feel like in a lot of schools it is though. But in my school we had quite a few experts on Islam in general as well. And so it was interesting because, you know, they're not Muslims themselves, but they've lived out in the Middle East and they've done, you know, certain things, and they've got PhDs and whatnot and all of that type of stuff. And they're giving it to you from a factual point. As a Muslim, I learned things that I didn't even know before about my own religion. I thought it was really interesting. But what I was trying to say is that through religious studies, I think that really broadened my horizons in the sense that I need to try and learn about the world, because religion actually changed a lot of the world that we are in today as well.
I think because we're from an urban area, we have a lot of privilege in terms of learning about different cultures.
Very true. And that's the thing. Certain people, the people that I went to school with, some of my friends are like, you know, the people that are in our family circles, that type of thing, because a lot of them come from small villages. They were like, we would have never met people with multicultural backgrounds, that type of thing, because where we live, it's sort of just one certain demographic of person. So she was like, it's good that in a sense I got to talk to you and learn about you and those types of things, when if I hadn't met you, it would have been a completely different story.
See, this is why the education system itself needs to be improved, because for those who don't have contact with people of other cultures, it's really easy to just form your ideas on what you see from the education system. Also, not even that, the news, because if you're not learning about groups of people in, you know, in school, you're not meeting them, and all you're seeing is Muslims are doing this and for example, Islamophobia, terrorism, all of that.
It's very easy to take that in instead of, you know,
Islamophobia
going deeper.
A lot of
learning about the people behind it, and, you know, not behind Islam, like I guess learning about people from different cultures, different religions, that type of thing, and knowing that not everyone is the same and not painting everyone with the same brush.
I think a good education fixes a lot of societal evils.
I think so too. Because like I said, it starts from school.
Cool. So if my next question is, what situation in world politics or history do you wish you were able to understand more? If there's one thing that you'd think, I really wish I knew a lot more on that, what would it be?
In history, I would say
it could be in politics right now.
Well, currently right now, or just
anything in the world.
I'd want to know about the wars that went on.
Which wars?
Very controversial topic, but, you know, the Vietnam War, I'd want to know more about. What happened in Iraq, I'd want to know more about. What happened in Afghanistan, those types of situations. I feel like I'd want to know what it is that we had to fight over.
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. And why it is that so many people had to lose their lives because of it.
Okay.
So I think that's what I want to know.
Nice.
Yeah. Because I feel like when you know more about those things, I guess it's just important, because people did lose their lives for it.
Yeah.
And if people don't even know about it and it has no importance, then what was the point?
Yeah.
But yeah. But I feel like there's so many things. I feel like the colonization in general, the real reasons behind it, I'd want to know more about as well.
I can tell you the reasons after this story.
The real reasons behind it, because I feel like it's very murky waters, sort of. It's not very clear cut. These are the reasons sort of told to you. So, you know, I'd want to know more about that.
So for me, because I have had the privilege of actually studying a lot of history, over the last 2 years I've like studied a lot of Indian history. So I think before, if you asked me 2 years ago, I would have said Indian, Asian, South Asian history, but like I said not long ago, in A-levels and my degree, the one thing that we never had the privilege of learning was African history before colonization. So I think that would be the one thing I would think I really would like to learn more of it, because like I said, that's where we all came from. I think it's really gross how there's nothing on it in European curriculums. It starts when they were taken advantage of by European colonizers. That's all we ever learn about. Whereas I think South Asia, you do get to learn more about like the Mughals and those civilizations.
But it's kind of not giving them the importance they deserve.
Exactly.
You're kind of cutting it off like, it's almost like it didn't even exist before.
It's an erasure of their history. And I think that's what I would probably delve into.
Yeah.
So next question. Do you feel represented in your views in politics? You as a person.
I feel like that's quite
that's a pretty random one just thrown in there. Maybe I should have gone into there. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like, wow. That's the thing. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm not, but at the same time, I don't feel like I am. But I think that's because I don't feel involved in politics in general. So I wouldn't feel like I'm represented because I don't have that deep attachment to it.
Okay, then I've got another question for you. Do you feel frustrated about how much of an impact you can make in the world?
I do.
Yeah.
Very much so. Like every single day.
Yeah.
It annoys me.
What exactly?
Because I feel like it's so hard. I feel like loads of people just like us, general normal people who aren't MPs or part of government or things like that, really do want to make a change. Like when you have a deep conversation with someone, you realise that, you both really want to change the world. And it gets really like dark at times because you realise how, like you were saying, it is quite depressing because you realise that the world, obviously it isn't perfect and there are things going on. But the more depressing thing is the fact that you feel like you can't change it. And that's the thing, because it's so hard to bring about massive change from just one. And it starts from just one person. And I feel like in this day and age, it should be so much easier because of the power that we have through internet and everything to bring a movement. Like you said, with the Area 51, how easy was that for them to just storm it? But I feel like for deeper causes, it's a lot more difficult because people are also so split on their opinions and how they want things to happen. People are generally, I know I'm a generally confused person. I change my mind within a second. So, and I feel like we're seeing through current events that are going on, we're quite confused as a nation as well in which direction we want to go, that type of thing. So I feel like it is frustrating because normal people feel like they don't have that power.
Yeah, it's so easy to give up hope.
Yeah.
Like, I've gone through that whole frustrated period and now I'm at a point where I'm like, I don't really know what kind of a big impact I can make. I'll retweet some stuff. I'll post some stuff on my Instagram.
But it's like, what can you really do?
Yeah, like that's why I wanted to get involved in politics. But even through that, it's like you can make tiny changes. And while that is good, I think we are taught, we watch movies about people who make massive changes through doing this and that. And I think everybody wants to be that person these days. Yeah, of course. So it's kind of, oh yeah, that's mine. It's kind of, I don't know what, the demoralizing,
very much so, I guess,
to not be able to make those changes. So you do have to make those little things like, no more plastic bottles and writing a blog about
retweeting things like that, raising awareness.
But it never feels like enough because things don't change quickly like that. It's about the people at the top. But then I do think if enough of us do use that frustration to do something productive, then it would change.
Yeah, but it's so hard. For everyone to be on the same wavelength. It has
to be literally revolutionary levels to make changes like that.
Exactly.
And that's a depressing thought. But it can also be a hopeful thought, because I do think our new generations are a lot more revolutionary in the whole social justice aspect, wanting to improve lives.
People are trying. I think young people, but do you think that's just a trend that's going on now?
No, I think young people genuinely hope so.
Genuine.
Yeah, no, I have a lot of hope for this new generation. Weirdly, I criticize them a lot, but I do have a lot of hope for you kids, because it does seem like you guys want to make the most of it. I think young people are the ones who care the most about the world, because they haven't had the
crashing reality.
Yeah, they haven't had the crashing reality yet. They haven't seen the repetition of the cycle of disappointment happening over and over again. Like, I remember my first election when I was voting, I was like, yeah, the party I'm voting for are going to win. They didn't win. And now it's happened like 3 times I voted.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, cool, I'll just hand in my vote now.
It's difficult. Yeah, because at the same time, I kind of feel like my vote doesn't make a difference, because I know in the place that I am, my party...
How many times have you voted, by the way?
Never.
Oh, so
it's going to be my first election, should an election happen soon. But yeah, I feel like, you know, at times it's very set. With our system, like in the UK, certain areas are certain parties.
Yeah.
Your vote won't really change.
Yeah, no, I get you.
So
yeah, UK politics is very slow. Like, this was literally something I remember studying, that it's one of our characteristics of UK politics. It's just very gradual. There's no revolutionary change like France or whatever. That's just one of the things about us, is that we don't make dramatic
do you think
movements.
It's on its way?
I don't know if there is going to be a dramatic change, because I think, like, I'm really going to go into Brexit in the last like 30 seconds.
Going to be a bit difficult.
Is it actually the last 30 seconds? Does it finish at 55?
56.
56, okay. No, I think we have too many splitting views for anything to change. I think people here are too scared to hurt other people's feelings.
But the thing is, that's what I thought. I was 16 when the referendum happened, and I was like, we're going to vote to remain because we don't like change.
I thought so too.
That's what I thought. But weirdly, it didn't happen that way.
Populism, yeah.
But then it's the same thing with Trump, I feel like. No one thought he was going to be voted in.
It's not in the... there's change, just not sure if it's in the direction I like. But maybe the retaliation's on its way. You never know. I just don't know what to expect with politics anymore. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, nothing's going to change. But then I'm like, don't know what to think.
It's a very sort of either way
type this is the most confusing degree ever.
But I feel like that's a good point to wrap it up. So today we talked about political disengagement and engagement, and the fact that I guess young people need to sort of be more knowledgeable. We should try and make society expected.
Not just young people, I think everyone does.
Everyone. We should try and make society in general more
aware.
But yeah, join us again next week where we'll be back. So yeah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.